No.
Okay.
Don't do free projects. If you're going to do a project, barter, don't do free projects. You could make a free project for yourself. Go on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give you an idea and make that free project and add it to your portfolio. The reason why I say don't do free projects is because you're going to be doing work for somebody and they're going to drive you crazy. It's going to be difficult for you to navigate understanding how to deal with a person. And I think you need to just navigate understanding how to build first before you have to build for a person.
Welcome to another edition of the Techwoke podcast. I'm your host, Chris. I'm a GRC specialist in the GovTech space. Remember, everybody, if you're watching the podcast, check it out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Check it on all the major platforms for podcasting. And without further ado, we have a great guest. Her name is Sammy. She's hailing in from New York, moved to Atlanta. She's a self-taught web developer. Without further ado, Sammy, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you on this nice cold morning. We up here early on a Saturday.
We are.
Fresh off of Thanksgiving. How did you enjoy it there?
I had a blast. It was a lot of fun to be able to meet a whole new spectrum of like tech people because I normally just, stay in Atlanta. I got introduced to a lot of UX design people, which is definitely what I need to be doing. And I got to do content, which was a fun time.
Oh, that's great. You got to do what you got to do. Thanksgiving is good. D.C. is good. How you like D.C.?
I love it. It reminds me so much of New York. It's kind of like the city, so I might be back.
It's like a little cleaner, smaller New York, right?
I mean, don't come for how dirty we are.
I'm sorry. Now, y'all good people. Y'all good people. Y'all good people, but yeah. So Sammy, it's an honor to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
I know you did the website for me. Made it look in all the Techwoke web. Make sure y'all check out the Techwoke podcast website. Yeah, you made it look all good. Made the store look good. See, we got the gear on today. So I appreciate you, and from your skills and just talking to you and just seeing your personality, I was like, and then just seeing how you went about your business, I was like, let me go. I gotta get her on the podcast. So I was like, once you come to Thanksgiving, I was like, I'm definitely gonna see if I can try. And I appreciate you for making time on this early morning to come on here.
Of course, I was really excited. I loved all the other guests that you had on, so I'm just excited to come and tell my story too.
And welcome to Death Row. So Sammy, tell me about your early life. What was your early life before tech around the high school time?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I went to Catholic high school, Nazareth, in Flatbush. And it was regular. My mom raised me and my brother. Tech wasn't really big then. We were just getting like sidekicks and things like that. And MySpace was really big. That was really my first introduction to like coding and like front-end development where everybody had their music and their top 5 and everything. I was a dancer and I was a cheerleader and I was a big nerd. To chem and AP history and things like that.
So you was all into that stuff, and I know you was into fashion too.
Yes, my early days of fashion was definitely very experimental. I used to color my hair a lot of different colors and wear really big, colorful clothes. I'm kind of the same.
Like now, you see, you got the Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
Matching orange. So yeah, you're doing it right now, tattoo. So you always been. Would you describe yourself as being a little bit different?
Definitely eclectic, a little alternative. I'm also Caribbean and Nigerian, Haitian and Nigerian. So I pull a lot from my like roots of my heritage and my culture.
Okay, that's a good mix. I don't know. The mix is good, but yeah, I got you. Yeah. So you're in high school, and also you was messing with MySpace, so you was kind of doing like the UX. MySpace, you kind of had to build it up.
Yeah, it really was my first introduction, everybody's introduction really to like understanding how like to mess with a little bit of code and HTML and going into like the console, and putting music on your page and things flying from the sky. So
I would describe you was always into tech, basically.
I would say so. I didn't know I was into tech, but I definitely enjoy that aspect of designing my own pages.
Okay, so you're in high school. What happened? So you just graduated, you go to college. What happened after high school?
So after high school, I did go to college for a semester. I went to St. John's, but I ended up leaving high school, and I ended up getting pregnant at 19, and I had my son, Caden. He's 12 now.
Okay, so you had your son in high school, and so you're... So when you're in high school, so you in high school, you had your son. So what did you do after you had your son? Did you start working? Like, tell me about some of the jobs you started working
Yeah,
beforehand.
so actually, I had my son after I graduated high
Okay,
school.
after you graduated high school.
And at that time it was really hustle or all. So I got into retail, customer service type thing. So I was working like American Eagle. I worked at the UGG store, and I kind of got into design there a little bit. I used to do their merchandising and like design the UGG boots with like Swarovski
Oh,
crystals.
you did. Okay, so you like kind of like souped up the UGG boots and make them
Yeah,
look
a
good.
little swag to
Uh
them.
huh.
I just did a lot of odd jobs. I
Hmm.
was also really into fashion, like you mentioned. So I used to do things like design denim jackets. And I did like fashion shows and a few photo shoots with that. I used to do hair. I used to sell plates, just a lot of different, creative odd things.
Okay. Okay, so you was doing all these little odd things, and was you getting a lot of money doing it?
Here and there, here and there. I think the most money that I did make, I used to make cookies, special cookies, and sell them at different types of parties and festivals. I went to South by Southwest, and I think that was my most lucrative little like side hustle.
So you was straight hustler. You was like,
I'm born and raised from Brooklyn. You really got that hustle mentality when you come from New York. So
yeah,
any means necessary, honestly.
and then you always had design in it. Did you ever see? Because you have a son, and I'm keep in mind you had a son at like what 17, 18,
19.
19. So you're hustling, trying to make your money to take care of your son. Was the father always in the life,
Oh
or
yeah. I mean, his dad is
okay?
and always is around. He's very active in his life, even though we're not, in the same places all the time. Definitely was around. So we were doing our own thing, hustling and co-parenting.
Okay, but you knew in the end of the day you had to take care of your son.
Always. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
job. I brought him
Okay.
into this world. I got to make sure he's good. And I wanted him to have a better life than I did, something different. And, when you have a kid young, people already count you out as somebody who is not going to be able to advance their life. So I had to prove everybody wrong. And I had to make sure that my son was always going to know, like, some type of wellness in his life. So,
Oh, that's amazing. And then your mom, and then he's obviously seeing your mom and father just getting it.
yeah.
What? And I know at one moment, because I know you knew doing these careers is still good to do, but you probably knew it wasn't gonna get you the money you.
Most definitely. I think I kind of transitioned and I started working a bit more steady jobs. So I got a job at a bank, and I was a teller for a while. And then I started working at startups. And that was my first introduction to like tech jobs. And I was a customer support agent at Oscar Health. I don't know if they're even still around. And that was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. And I got to see startup perks. I got to see like, oh, the office culture. And, this is way before COVID. So we had like open office and snacks in the office and the refrigerator. And from there, I think I moved on to a couple other like tech startup jobs in the customer support space. So that kind of opened my eyes to like what other things were out there.
Are you passionate about tech, cybersecurity, social change? Join the Tech Woke movement on Patreon. Get exclusive access to discussions on emerging tech trends, cybersecurity insights, and valuable resources to help you get hired in tech. Learn from others in the community, exchange ideas, and gain skills that will help set you apart, whether you're a developer, enthusiast, or looking to break into the industry. This is your space. Support the movement, stay ahead of the curve, and be a part of the change. Join us today on Patreon.com/TechWoke. I see you there. Okay, so coming into the startup space, you kind of seen like that's how a real office should be. This is real office culture.
Yeah.
When you was in this office culture, how did it feel for you?
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved being able to like talk to everybody. And because you're in a startup, everybody's so scrappy and you get a chance to like wear different types of hats. So I got a chance to rub elbows with engineers. I got a chance to like talk to the marketing team. The CEO knew my name or asked me how my son was doing. So it was very like it was different to me than like working at a bank where you don't know the CEO, you don't know who runs this, but in startups, everybody's kind of in the same space.
Yeah, because even for me, like watching, I never worked in startup culture, but from talking to a lot of people, you have to learn how to do everything. 'Cause it's so limited money to hire people. So did you feel like that helped get you more that dog in you to keep grinding?
It did. It really, I was amazed by the perks. Like startups, they give you all these cool things like gym memberships and like Spotify, some of them, and like Ubers. So that was cool. They had like holiday parties. That was really something. But just being able to see like, oh, okay, like there's other people in this company that started at what I started at and now is doing like something completely different. And startups really foster their own. So they've tried to train you to do a lot of things so you can really grow in that type of culture.
Oh, okay. And this is when you was in Atlanta? When did you move to Atlanta?
No, this is actually when I was in New York. I moved to Atlanta 3 years ago, so I'm still fairly new there.
Okay, so when did you start making your actual? So you're talking to engineers, you're looking at what's going on in the startup culture. When did you start making your transition into web development, or the actual tech of it?
Yeah, so actually, I didn't start off as a web developer. I started off as a front end intern actually. And I actually love this story. So I was working at a startup, a health startup, customer support agent. I was talking on the phone with a customer, and I was a supervisor. And he got really nasty and called me a few really disgusting names. And I had enough. I think I was just over it. You know, being a supervisor in customer support, you take the brunt of people yelling at you. You get when they're in their worst mood. And I just couldn't take it anymore. It was mentally not what I wanted to do. And I talked to my manager, and I was like, I want to do something else. And she put me on the learning and development team because I'd been there for so long. I had a lot of knowledge in me. And I started learning how to build out learning systems. And I got to go to like Portland and train our offsite team. And in that time, I was like, what do I really want to do with myself? And there was a bunch of engineers right on the other side of the wall. And I started talking to them and asking them like, hey, like, what is coding? Like, what is this? Like, what do you do? How do you make a front end page? And it kind of showed me the ins and outs. And then I found a part-time boot camp at General Assembly. And I started going to that after work, like twice a week and on the weekends. And I started learning how to like do HTML and CSS. I built a little like tip calculator. And that was just like, wow, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to learn with my life because it's so interesting and intricate, and I like the problem solving of it all. And from there, I talked to my manager again, and she got me into an internship at the same company. So I transitioned from customer support completely, and I went to the engineering team, and I did front end development, and I started building out web pages for the team, and I learned how to do React on the job. And after that, you know, the thing about startups, you do have ebbs and flows. So there's times when they're up, and there's times when they're down, and there's layoffs, and there are things happening. So I kind of felt like my time there was up, and I started looking for something that I would be able to combine the two, and I found support engineering, which I really liked because it still allowed me to flex all the customer support skills that I built up over the years. But now I get to do that with code, and I get to look into the code and help people like solve technical issues. So the caliber of people I was talking to also was really different.
Okay, so let's circle back a little bit.
Yes.
A little bit. So can you explain when you did that internship, right? Can you explain the importance of doing internships?
Yes, internships are really important because it gives you an opportunity to ask questions, and it gives you an opportunity to be bad. Like the whole point of internship is for you to learn as much as you can from everybody you can learn from. So I was talking to engineering managers. I was having like my friends meet with me after, like my engineering friends were like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? And just soak it all in. Ask everybody everything because you never know what you could really learn.
And was this a paid internship?
It was, yeah. It was actually. I still had a job there. You know, they still had benefits. It was actually. I was really grateful that I was able to stay within the same company. So I still, got the same friends.
Yeah, because internships are very good because number one, you can get the experience. I prefer paid internships if you can. Because they have more, they invested in you, and they're more likely they'll bring you up like they just did.
Yeah.
So that's one of the good things about internships. And then also, can you explain those coding languages you learn? Are those the good? When you first started, can you explain some of the what was if somebody's trying to learn code? What would they start, especially front end? What would you say start at?
Yes, if you're trying to learn front end, definitely start HTML, which is just a basic like the hyperlink language, I believe. Or hypertext language, and it's just the words on the page. No design, no colors, just words on the page. And just understanding how to frame out like graphs and like charts and lists and things like that, I think is the best thing. And then you learn CSS, which is the design of the page, the styling, the color, the background, everything like that. Those are the basics of the very, very basic of front-end development. From there, you move on to JavaScript, which would be how you interact with the page. The buttons, when you click on them, what does it do? If you want to fill out a form, where does the information go? And then React, which is a framework of JavaScript, which kind of helps you build bigger projects, and that's something that would help you like build out maybe like a to-do list or a calculator. So yeah, those are definitely the four things that you should learn if you're getting into front end development.
Oh, okay. And then also with boot camps, with boot camps, you see there all the craze nowadays. Like you got boot camps that's thousands of dollars now. What would you if you can go back? Would you go to boot camps? And then also, if somebody's trying to get into a boot camp, what would you tell them to be aware of before they do it?
So I think it depends on how you learn. There's so many resources out there right now on like YouTube, Udemy, Coursera, everywhere. So free code camp is really a good one too. So it really depends on how you learn. If you need structure, if you need like somebody to tell you this is what you need to learn next, then I would say do a boot camp. But even still, like try to find a boot camp that has scholarships. Try to apply for like, I know there's a lot for like Black women. There's a lot of them for people who are like lower income. Definitely utilize your resources. Because I think if you're trying to get into tech, especially from somebody who's coming from a non-traditional background, you do not want to spend thousands of dollars trying to get into something. There are some boot camps that also offer you the opportunity to pay the tuition after you get a job, and they'll help you like kind of look for a job in that sense. Those are good if you're in a bind, but personally, I don't want to have to give somebody my paycheck after I'm done with you.
I got you. And you was a self-taught developer. You never went to college at all.
I went to college for a semester, but yeah, that was about it. I didn't go to college for development. It was for sociology. So yeah, pretty much self-taught besides like the little courses that I did take.
Do you think you have to go to college, or would you go back to college if you can? But what's your thoughts? Do you think you can progress in your career without it?
I've thought about this a lot. I definitely teetered back and forth. And I think for what I want to do, I don't feel like it's necessary for me to go back to college, but I don't want to discourage anybody from wanting to go to college. I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to do something a lot more technical that requires like a lot more learning, I would say we'll go to college. But for things that you can find, like development, you can learn that online. That can be self-taught. You just gotta learn, like play with it. The best teacher is experience. So just start building things, watching other people build things, follow tutorials, and you'll pick it up.
So Sammy, when you were also learning web development, did you work on any projects to better help you learn it?
Yeah, so in the beginning when I was doing web development as an intern, my projects were building the pages for the website, like the marketing pages. The marketing team would come to me with like a Figma design, and I would build those out. More recently in my web development journey, I build websites for people, and that kind of is my practice. I built it for like friends and family first, and that really got me, my foot in the door.
Okay, and then is there any like resources or forums that somebody can use to get into web development?
Yes, I always recommend using like Free Code Camp. I did a Udemy course on like freelancing and starting off web development, and it's just a lot of different aspects of web development, I think, too, that we need to look at, because you can be a web developer that codes. You can do, like, like I mentioned, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Or you could be a web developer that just use, like, CMS platforms like Webflow or Wix or Squarespace. So really decide what you want to do in that space. You could probably decide, like, how you want to start learning.
Yeah, because with web development now, you can use a lot, like you said, a lot of no-code tools.
Yeah.
You don't really have to actually code HTML or anything like that. So
you don't.
There's different resources.
It is good to have those bases, because it'll help you understand how to build out a responsive website, because a lot of times people don't realize that you need to make sure the website fits across all screens. So if you understand how CSS works, it's be easier for you to build out a website that'll work across, phones and computers and laptops.
Yeah, because when I be making my little projects, I'll be like, when I be on web, I tried Webflow. Well, I know somewhat of Webflow, and it's hard to make it for every screen.
Yeah.
And that's what people forget. They just think, and most people use their phones or
exactly
the iPad or something.
Most things have to be built out. Like I always try to build out for phones first, understand how it's gonna lay out, and then I scale up bigger, because most of the time people are gonna see your things on the phone.
Yeah. So and then also too, like even for me, I'm in a cyber field. So when I was trying to get in, I had joined communities. Can you tell me about like some of the communities you joined to help better learn?
So early on in my career, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know about communities. I was always the only Black girl in the space, especially when I started working like in the tech space. More so now, I definitely tapped more into like I went to Thanksgiving. There's a conference in Atlanta I like to go to, Render. There's Blacks in Tech, and I like to just go to different types of events that I see in my area that might be like targeted to people who code. And also like online spaces. Reddit is actually a really good place to go find like communities.
A little bit toxic too.
It is a little bit toxic. Stay away from the toxicity. But there are some good forums. Even like General Assembly, the boot camp, the part-time boot camp that I did go to, they have different forums. So just reaching out, finding places to just ask questions, I think.
Yeah, because sometimes you feel like you're alone when you're studying and trying to get into the field, because we didn't have a Thanksgiving back then, or we didn't have a render. It just be honest with you, it happened during the pandemic, after the pandemic. Yeah. When you were studying, how did that make you feel? Did you ever feel like you wanted to give up, or you feel how did you feel?
You know what? I'm really grateful because I mentioned like my coworkers helped me. I was able to find a few set of really close other like Black coworkers in the engineering space at my job who supported me so much. They will stay after work with me and help me figure out my homework. If I had like troubles or bugs in my code, they would be able to like, I would call them like, hey, I really need help with this, and they would sit down and help me with it. So I think I was really grateful in that. I wasn't really alone. Even like my instructor at General Assembly was really helpful too. So definitely reach out to like your network that you can find.
Your network is your net worth. That's what I tell everybody. And people will help you if you're trying to help yourself.
Yeah, definitely. If you show that you're trying and that you have a thought process going, you just need a little nudge in the right direction, people will help you. Like, don't be needy. Don't be like, oh, I haven't even looked at it. Like, can you show me? Try first.
And would you call those people your mentors in a way, or?
I would, because at the time I didn't even know what having a mentor was, but I didn't realize that having a wealth of knowledge at my fingertips, being able to reach out to somebody like, hey, can you help me, and they will sit with me, is mentorship. So yeah, I love people call them that.
Okay, so you not only did web development, what else did you do?
So for the first 5 years of my career, I actually did support engineering. So after I left the internship.
Can you explain what support engineering is?
Okay. Support engineering basically is a combination of support, like customer support, and technical troubleshooting. So you mostly do them at like SaaS companies, software as a service. So the idea is if you have a software, it goes out to the public, people use that software, people are going to have questions about that software, whether it be engineering managers if it's geared to them or the general public. Support engineers take those tickets in, are able to like troubleshoot issues in a bug, or like troubleshoot bugs in the code, or like issues in the program to help customers out.
When I first got into tech, I was green. I was lost in the details, unsure of it all. Then one day I had my woke moment and everything clicked. The pieces came together and things just got better. The moment of clarity inspired me to create techwoke clothing. For those that have had the same awakening, this is for the tech community that's woke to what's next. Step into the future with cutting edge designs, smart fabrics, and fashion that evolves with you, bold and intelligent, sustainable, and get your merch. Join the techwoke movement. Wear the future. Shop now at shoptechwoke.com. Thank you.
So it was a good segue between the two things that I was doing.
Oh, okay. So it just so how would somebody get into that?
I would say, again, it depends on the aspect that you're going into. I got lucky enough that the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React that I learned in the internship helped me get a no-code platform support engineering job as my first one. Basically, what I was doing was helping customers build out no-code platform websites for like insurance companies and banks and things of that nature. So the skills are very transferable. So I would definitely mention just get the basics of coding is the best thing I do. So same thing.
Okay, and I did have a question. So like with no code versus code, I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
It's a matter of preference.
Okay.
It really is. I always say, like, if you're interested into looking into tech, like getting into technical things, but you do not want to code, like you don't want to get into the nitty gritty of all the thought process and the syntax, and look into no code. No code is very useful. There's a lot of like Zapier's no code, and there's a lot of platforms now that are no code. So it's a really big thing right now. When I first started, it was new. It was like it was very new.
I got you. So you did that, and what else did you go back into web development or?
No, so I went back to web development very recently.
Okay.
So I did support engineering for 5 years across a few different companies. And then at the last company, I got let go. And then for that stint of about 8 months, I was unemployed. And I started kind of reaching back into the things that I know how to do because, when you're working as a support engineer, I'm not coding. I'm doing different types of things. So I kind of forgot a little bit that I know how to make websites. So I tapped back into it more recently in the past few months, and I started doing my freelance web development business.
Okay, so when you was unemployed, you was like, okay, well, I got to make sure I have some just in case I ever lose my job again. So you was like, I'm about to get into freelancing. How did you first start freelancing? Because it's a hard process. Freelancing is a hard. Did you start off on websites or?
Yeah, so freelancing is hard. I actually, to be honest, when I look back at my journey, when I first started learning how to code, my whole thing was that I wanted to start freelancing. And I got caught up in doing other jobs because, the money was good. And I didn't have the confidence to do freelancing. So once I lost my job and I had nothing but audacity, I started looking into it. And the first thing I did was do websites for my friends. Being from Brooklyn, I am a little mixy. I know a lot of people in a lot of different places. So I reached out to my comedian friends or my podcasting friends. And I said, hey, can I make you a website? Can I, charge you a prorated rate to get my practice in? And I just started learning different CMS platforms and yeah.
What you mean by CMS platforms?
So the no-code platform basically. Okay. So I learned Webflow and I also learned Wix because a lot of people tend to like that better.
Okay, so you just started reaching out. Did you ever do some free projects at first to kind of, or is always paid?
No.
Okay.
Don't do free projects. If you're gonna do a project, barter. Don't do free projects. You could make a free project for yourself. Go on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give you an idea and make that free project and add it to your portfolio. The reason why I say don't do free projects is because you're gonna be doing work for somebody. And they're going to drive you crazy. They are. It's going to be difficult for you to navigate understanding how to deal with a person. And I think you need to just navigate understanding how to build first before you have to build for a person.
Okay. So always barter. Because I always hear people say do free work. I mean, but time is money and time is very valuable. So
yes, I know people do say do free work, and it is, you can. And I think before you start doing free work, just do a project. Build a mock. I have a video on my Instagram where I did a mock podcast website before I did your website. And I think that, kind of put me on your radar, oh, okay, that's what she does. And it's good practice. It kind of gives you understanding of how to understand the fonts and the colors and kind of understand your design process before you start telling people you can do it. Because when they start giving you things that they want, you need to figure out how to, meet those demands.
Yeah, because people can be picky, including myself. It's just I wanted this certain way. Because you did my website, So, you wanted this. I'm more simple. I'm not complex. But, people and then people just want things that don't exist.
Sometimes, they don't understand the scope of reality, and you have to understand the scope of reality to be able to bring them as close to their vision as you can. So
yeah, because there's just some things you just can't get done, or if you want it, it's going to cost a lot of money because it's going to cost a lot of time to build that.
And as you say, cost, that's another big thing. Understanding how to charge for your services is definitely something that you're not going to learn until you see how long it takes you to do something. So definitely getting that practice in of saying, okay, this is how this process takes me. I should value myself at this much because of that.
Okay, when you say prorated, when you start working with all these comedians and things like that, how long was you freelancing for, by the way?
I've been freelancing since July or June, so about 5-6 months now.
Oh, yeah, so 5-6 months. Okay, so when you're prorating people, what do you mean by prorate? Just
Yeah, so I'll do a discounted rate, a discounted promo rate to say all right, you're my first or second website. It's going to probably take me a little bit longer to get this done because I'm still learning. But I would like to do this website for you. But like you said, time is money. So I'll charge you maybe $200 for the website, $300 for the website, as opposed to a higher price. And in exchange, you get the website and maybe you could tell your friends and family about it. Like I said, I was blessed enough to have a few friends in high places, so they were able to tell their people about the website that I built for them. And I get your name out there and kind of tell people all right, this is what I'm doing.
So you just silently, you did with these people, they just push your name through the word of mouth.
basically.
And you made sure you did a good job, and you make sure you got a good review. And because even with you, I think you send me, I had to send you a review after, and you make sure you sent it out to people. So, and then also I see you also have certain comedians or certain guests shout you out to kind of push you to them. So
yeah, and I mean, you know, that also comes from, like I mentioned, I used to do a whole lot of odd jobs. So I took on freelancing in the same way I did any other hustle. I just went to the streets because that's what I know. I know to go to my community and ask them for, you know, what can I do for you? What can you do for me type thing. If you don't have that community, there's definitely like online spots that you can find online, like promote it on your Instagram, promote it on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook. Like, hey, can I help somebody out with something? Go to like local businesses and ask them, can you help them out? Anybody's always, you know, people who don't have will be always grateful.
yeah, because even with you, and I think you advertise on like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then through friends.
Yeah.
And I like how what you do too, because I remember when I first was trying to, when I was, like I said, I saw that you was posting some stuff about websites. I was like, okay. So I seen you had style, number one. And then I seen that you did good websites. And then also too, I did an inquiry, and then I think 2 days later you just created a podcast website, and I was like, what the heck? I said I'm definitely gonna go at her, because I'm like, okay, she built a whole podcast website as we're talking, and, you know, and I was like, okay. Well, you didn't know it at the time, but you kind of sold me then. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that was the goal.
Yeah,
it was plotted.
So,
it was calculated.
Yeah.
I tell you. So what happened was I got reached out to by another podcast as well, maybe like a week before you reached out to me, and they didn't follow up. So I was like, all right, no problem. You know, it happens. You will get ghosted. And then you messaged me, and I said, I'm not losing this one. So I plotted on a way to just, you know, shout y'all out and kind of show what, you know, the things I could do.
Yeah, and yeah, it sold me. And then too, that even with companies, like when people reach out to companies and say I can do it, it's better just to do it ahead of time. Don't give it to them.
Yeah.
But just show them what you can do.
Show them what you're capable of.
Because people will be like, okay, dang, this person actually did this in like an hour at a time without getting paid or anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go. So just doing the work ahead of time and just showing what you could do is just how you can get people into
build up your portfolio. Okay. You know, like I said, ask ChatGPT of the few most popular places to find, like, type of websites to build. I will always do like real estate, landscapers, plumbers, service industry people, and just build some websites out.
Is it better to get a niche though when you're freelancing?
Yes, I think so. I kind of fell into my niche. My niche was originally supposed to be plumbers and landscapers, but because of my network, it kind of became entrepreneurs and podcasters and other like people in my kind of space. But yeah, it's better to find a niche, because then you know who to reach out to. You could tailor your content to your audience.
Okay. So building a niche. So I'm going from step one. First, start practicing. Use ChatGPT. Create your personal projects.
Yes.
Then start reaching out to people doing a pro rate. Then after you build your portfolio out, then just start advertising on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, to kind of get your get your name out there.
Yeah, definitely use the projects that you build for people as your portfolio, and have a central place for everybody to see what you can do, and make your portfolio look nice, because that's another extension of kind of like your style.
Oh, okay, I guess. So I understand too, like, especially people, people can't afford certain, can't afford your services sometimes. How does it feel when sometimes you reach out to people and maybe you get ghosted sometimes?
It sucks. I hate it. It makes me feel like poop. But it is what it is, and you have to understand, like, it is the business. Sometimes I ghost people if like it doesn't align. And I had to just understand, like, people are shopping around. They're gonna go what's best for them, and I might not be what's best. So,
You ever go back and see if they got a website done?
Sometimes, I'll go on their page and be like, let me see if somebody else get their page for them. So far, no. So far, whoever ghosted me still didn't get their pages done. So, y'all can still holler at me if you want to.
Sometimes maybe it can be a little cheap, or...
I don't know. I did definitely struggle a lot with my pricing in the beginning, and I think as I'm coming into this new year, I'm really understanding how to build up my business model. So you have to build out your business model for you. So some people might say, oh, you might be too expensive. Then they're not the customer for you, and just
keep it pushing.
Yeah, you gotta, because you'll find the customer for you when you want to get the bag. So
would you ever say if somebody was like, okay, this is your price you gave them, and somebody was like, I can give you a little bit less, would you work with them, or would you just so your price is your price?
So that's interesting. I think in the beginning I definitely would ask like what the budget is, and I would try to give my services around that budget. But what I think I was missing was the fact that like I'm taken away from what I can do. I'm going to scale back on my skills and my ability to fit into this box. And that's not what I want to do anymore. I want to be able to give my full self, my full project, my full expertise on something. So if somebody isn't able to fit what they can do, what I'm starting to do is just build out pricing tiers. So it's like, all right, if this is what your budget is, then this is the package you can get, and, you know, so on and so forth.
Like maybe a productized service?
Yeah, like maybe if you can't afford a full customized website, you could afford a template.
Okay.
And then you can purchase that instead.
Okay, so like what is the process of onboarding, offboarding clients?
Yes, that's really important. And, you know, it's really hard for me to find a lot of content on that. The first thing I think is to have like a contract template set up so that you already know like your terms and conditions of what you're going to ask somebody to do, the project scope, deadlines, sign-offs, making sure that if the design is done, do not let them message you anymore about designs because they will drag you. And then also having like proposal templates, making sure your pricing tiers are laid out. So when somebody messages me and they want a website, the first thing I do is send them my intro template. Like, thank you for reaching out. I want to schedule a consultation with you. I send them the link. They schedule the consultation. I get all the details of what they want to do. And then I send them a proposal after the meeting.
Okay, yeah, because even with me, and I deal with a lot of people in, media space, whatever's in the contract is whatever's in the contract. And I try to follow whatever's in the contract, respect them. They do their service. I do my service, do what I get. So, yeah, so you just follow whatever's in the contract. So even when I was dealing with you, you was like, yeah, if it's not in it's not in the contract. You made sure you wrote it in the contract if I was going to do something. So that's important, right?
It really is important because what happens a lot of times, and when I started doing free work, it did happen to me a lot. It was like projects got dragged on a lot. People were adding things on it afterward, and it was like there was nothing for me to reference to say, no, like we cannot do this, because if not, the projects might never end, or people might take advantage of you. So you have to set boundaries in your contract from the jump so nobody can like deviate from that.
It set boundaries with yourself too. So.
Most definitely.
Okay, so and then also too, can you explain the importance of customer service when freelancing?
Yeah, so of course, I have my customer service background. You got to be nice to your customers. Like you cannot violate them. Communicate with your customers. If you're running late, if the deadline isn't going to be met, let them know. And like even if you want to like offer a discount, offer something extra, because you have to take care of your people. Because your clients are going to be the ones that are going to tell other people about what you do, and they're going to come back for other services. So make sure that, just make sure you communicate, that you're personable, that you set your boundaries, you're stern, but you're also, like, nice. Like, create that relationship with your clients.
Yeah, because even with me, I know you deal with men, men too, and then things like that. You can probably deal with a guy trying to, try to get at you. Maybe they'll get at you in a different way. Like, they're like, oh, I'm just going to just book a service so I can talk to you. Or things like that. So you have to set those boundaries.
Yes, most definitely.
Even with you, like, I was like, okay, I come on, that's it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk, and then that's it. Because I just set the boundaries as, customer, whatever. So that's one of the best things to do. And then customer service is important because, like, even me as a customer, I want to know I can reach out to you. Like, sometimes, and I understand personal boundaries. Cause I try not to hit up on, sir, if it's an emergency, I will hit you up, though. I ain't going to lie.
If the website is down, please message me.
If it's an emergency, but I try to respect because I know you got things going on, and you gotta let them be,
Yeah, I actually had one person message me at like 8:00 in the morning, like 5 different messages back to back to back, and I had to send a message like, business hours, please respect that, and moving forward, this is how you book, because
because you just try to because I even with you, I actually during our process I was like, okay, so what can I hit you up about, like, and you just said like if it's any things buggy with the website, things like that. So I just always respect that. And then too, and also too, I like that what you do, you send a follow-up with video instructions on how to handle certain things, so I can do it on my own. That's
definitely really important, especially because you're dealing with non-technical people. So if you're giving somebody a website, let them know how to use the website when you're done, like how they can make updates, how they can change things. So doing video tutorials, I think, is the best way for me because people can see visually. I think written is just not, the best way. So, definitely make sure you take care of your customers on offboarding and on onboarding. So.
Yeah, because I'm a little technical, as you've seen, so I
Of
can,
course.
I can figure it out. It might take me a little longer, but I did like how you did that. So even though I have to update a podcast, I just literally just follow what you told me to do.
I saw that you put new episodes up too.
So I'm following it, and then also with the Shopify things, like I've been figuring out. Actually, I've been figuring out a lot of that stuff. I haven't been able to. I've been bothering you because it's like I've been figuring out a lot on my own, even automation tools and things like that. So So that's good. That's important. Customer service is very important. So how are you going to scale that business going forward?
I'm so excited for 2025. I have this whole business plan that I've been working on for the past couple of months of how I'm going to scale, because as a freelancer, you're only one person. So I've definitely been watching a lot of other freelancers on YouTube, and I think I'm going to start like I mentioned, my tiering service and also templating out certain things so I'm able to reach out to more niches. I know I said have a niche, but I'm a multi-passionate girl. So I want to start going out to my service industry people as well. So creating templates for them. I'm learning more about Adobe. So getting like more design-oriented designs out and getting higher tiered websites out so I can reach out to like lawyers, real estate, keynote speakers. And
so you want to be that big dog?
I want to be the biggest dog.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So also, can you explain? I've seen that you've been building your personal brand, partnering with different people like Thanksgiving and other.
Yes.
So explain the importance of building a personal brand.
Building a personal brand gets you out in front of people. I mentioned that in one of my videos on my Instagram. Like, if you want to become a freelancer, you have to tell people that you are a freelancer. You have to go out into the world and network with the world and tell people who you are. I also like to do content. So I make content around being a freelancer, tutorials on how to do certain things on Shopify, how to build a button, just letting people know, like, this is the skills that I have, and people seeing it happen in real time will let them know that they can trust you with what they got going on.
And then, too, I seen you've been posting more and more on Instagram and things like that. Can you just tell people, if you really want to be a social media, just get out there and make something.
Just do it. Post it. I mean, I'm so critical of myself, but honestly, my most viral video was me sitting in my bed in my hoodie with my hair messed up crying. And that video went viral on TikTok and on Instagram. I got the most views on that one. So it really doesn't matter. Just get the information out there in the most engaging way possible and just share your story, because somebody will connect with it.
Yeah, because even with me, like, one of the videos that did the most good on the channel was me on an iPhone camera with bad lighting, no mic, and it did 3,000 views.
You see?
So people just want to see the realest of the real, and it don't have to be polished. I mean, there's a couple people that do so much content, it's not polished. I watched this lady, she literally just wakes up in the morning, talks whatever on her mind, and she has like over 70,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely don't overthink the content. And I mean, and that's coming from somebody who loves to do video editing and does all the cool like sound effects and everything like that. But just start simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. If all you want to do is make the content to share your stories, then just do that. Put the camera up, say what you got to say, show what you got to show, and somebody's going to connect with it.
That's what's up. So I'm starting to ask a new thing to the guests. So I'm asking where was your techwoke moment when you finally got the flow of things and became the person you are today in tech?
So interesting. So I've been in tech for 5 years now, almost 6 years, and my tech woke moment wasn't until I got unemployed, and I really had to tap back into that hustle mentality and figure out who I want to be in tech. Like, do I really want to be a support engineer for the rest of my life, or do I want to go back to my roots and be the creative person who is a boss and has her own clients and, really makes change in people's lives? So my tech woke moment was 6 months ago when I started freelancing.
Okay, that's amazing. Also, where can our audience find you?
So I am sammi.the.dev on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm going to start YouTube soon because you already know how things are going. So I'm going to be on YouTube soon. And you can also find my website, sammi.the.dev.com. And yeah.
Okay. And so what's your business name?
Sammi.the.dev.
Oh, Sammi.the.dev. Oh, okay. So what are your goals in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, I want to be a tech entrepreneur. Like, I really want to be out there. I just watched my cousin speak at Thanksgiving, and I want to do that. I watched my friends speak, and I want to be able to share my story on bigger platforms and really inspire those who come from non-traditional backgrounds like me, young moms like me, college dropouts like me. Just show the world that we could do something too and really inspire the masses. So
yeah, so I'm going to ask, So in the future, 5 years come, I want to see you on those big platforms.
You're going to see my face and my name.
Yeah.
I'm going to see Sammy.
I'm going to see Sammy. Sammy, and then you're going to I already know you're going to have a fit. You're going to have a fit
You already
ready.
know fly. Always.
Okay. Sammy, I really appreciate you coming on the
Thank
Saturday
you.
morning on the podcast.
Yes.
It was a pleasure having you.
It was so much fun.
Yes. You feel good?
Yes, I do.
I feel good too. Okay. So remember, everybody, if you enjoy the podcast, remember subscribe if you're on YouTube. Check the podcast out on all podcasting platforms. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, join the newsletter. Also, check out the techwoke merch. Got it on right now, so check that out. In this video, I'm going to put a particular book, How to Get into Tech. So remember, check that out in the description. It's a free download, free book, you know. Remember, everybody, get 1% better every day. Peace out. I'll see you on the next one.